General Lytle's death, the men of his formal command, 10th Ohio Infantry, presented Lytle with a ceremonial Maltese cross. Upon receipt of the gift, Lytle addressed the men, saying he knew the cost of preserving the Union would be heavy, that it would be up to all gallant soldiers to heal up sores and scars, cover up the bloody footprints that war will leave, and to bury in oblivion all animosities against former foes, and to carve the flowing epitaph that tells of Southern as well as Northern valor. Retelling General Lytle's story and the restoration of his mortuary monument stands as a reminder of the respect held among soldiers, reconciliation of North and South, and of great losses in an internal conflict that so affected our nation. The efforts to restore the monument as a tribute to General Lytle and as a sesquicentennial legacy gift to the National Park Service came at the prompting of the General Lytle Camp of Sons of Union Veterans, who after visiting the monument offered to assist with fundraising efforts to see the monument restored. A series of meetings beginning in July 2010 that led to a more formal partnership with the goal of making the 150th anniversary of General Lytle's death that day that we could stand here and remember not only General Lytle, but also all those that hallowed this ground. Today's rededication could not have happened without a strong partnership begun by Lytle, leaders of the Lytle Camp, the Friends of the Park's volunteer board, and working constantly with the park in its education and preservational goals. The Friends' efforts through its stewardship committee led by Dr. Anthony Hodges and former committee member Carrington Montague, along with former executive director of the Friends of the Park, Kay Parrish, who developed an excellent campaign strategy. The work of members of the Lytle Camp, led by former commander and chaplain Terry Langdon, individual donations from across the country, 9 different states, with 56% of gifts coming from outside of North Georgia and Southeast Tennessee. 40% of the donations for this monument came from Ohio alone. This project was truly a joint effort and a labor of love, especially for Terry Langdon. Terry, we'd like to thank you and your support staff, Wanda, for your efforts in keeping this project going and making sure that the National Park Service and the Friends could today commemorate the first fully restored monument in the park. Terry, if you'll come forward, the Friends of the Park's board president, Becky Browder, has a small thank you. In the past, the Friends have assisted the park in work on the Lytle Brigade Monument and smaller historical markers. But today marks an exciting day to be able to say that one monument has been fully restored. As the contractor who rebuilt the monument stated, this is truly a legacy that we leave for future generations. With the Friends' creation of the Jewel Memorial Restoration Fund, we look forward to many more special commemorations and remembrances of not only those who sacrificed their lives here, but also to the veterans that returned to remember and to leave this place as a legacy for us. The Friends are pleased today to commemorate the completion of the restoration of the General William Haynes Lytle Monument as a legacy of the sesquicentennial. It is our hope that future generations will continue to see this monument and this, our nation's first national military park, as a treasure from our country's great history.
all for joining us this afternoon. What I think really is, it's certainly an honor for me to be a part of the ceremony, a member of an historic, heroic soldier, rededicating this historic monument that was constructed in his honor so many years ago. For those of you not familiar with the history, allow me to very briefly share. For 3 days in mid-September 1860, Union and Confederate forces fought in one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. The state was controlled at Chattanooga, which at that time became an important and significant railway line and was a vital link in the Confederate Army supply chain. On September 20th, 150 years ago, the final day of the Battle of Chickamauga, the Union Army was forced to retreat into Chattanooga. The Confederate Army withdrew after 3 days of hard-fought battle began laying siege to Chattanooga. The human toll of the Battle of Chickamauga was almost 130,000 men fought, and 4,000 died in the battle. Tens of thousands of wounded. One of those who fell during the battle was General widely known as the poet warrior of the Civil War. His work was beloved by soldiers. Lytle felt mortally wounded in this fight, now known as Lytle, trying to maintain a control line against the Confederates. The battlefield that night, the Confederates were holding their stand, reverently stood for the war and waited so it could be returned to the Union. His body was eventually returned to the command. After the establishment of Chickamauga, Chattanooga, veterans from both sides marked the sites where each general, Confederate or Union, killed during the battle. All pyramids made from cannonballs were erected at each of these sites. As we all know, over the years, the cannonballs disappeared from General Lytle's monument and was reduced to one layer. Recently, interest in restoring the monument back to its original height and configuration was prompted by various groups from Cincinnati. The Friends of the Park agreed to conduct a major capital campaign with the goal of completing the restoration by the park's sesquicentennial year. As we can see, the capital campaign went very well. Today, the rededication of the Lytle Monument marks the culmination of years of effort and generous support by many groups and individuals. It also provides a tangible reminder of this year's commemorative event and leaves a legacy of future monument restoration efforts. So I thank you again for joining us today for the rededication of this monument to a truly heroic effort.
Well, I think it's time to fully unveil the monument. We have Jim Sikowski, Anthony Hodges, Terry Langen.
Oh, that's a picture I should.
It's time to formally surrender the monument from the National Park Service, ready for its rededication.
Commander, I'm authorized to invite you at this time to accept the national tribute at the hands of the accredited representative of this monument. Present at the rededication, you have no purpose or responsibility.
Deputy Regional Director Wissinger, in the name of the William H. Lytle Camp, the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, representing, as they do, all the soldiers and sailors who defended the integrity and authority of the nation, I thank you and those whom you represent for this memorial. As alluded to earlier, 150 years ago today was a ghastly day for some 58,000 Union soldiers and 66,000 Confederate troops who swarmed over the valleys and hills around us or lay motionless in death. One of the latter was General Lytle. We are gathered here to rededicate this monument to General Lytle. Although the National Park Service policies have mandated certain changes, the brief ceremony we are about to conduct is basically the GAR service of dedication as it was done beginning in 1917. For that reason, I make no apology that some of the wording may be archaic to our 21st century ears. The initials GAR are an acronym for the Grand Army of the Republic. There was a time when the GAR was so important in American society that one scarcely could have been elected dog catcher in much of the country without the political support of the venerable organization, the GAR. But many decades have passed, and more than a few American citizens no longer remember the debt that this country owes to those men. The Grand Army of the Republic was an organization of veterans who served on the Union side in the American Civil War. At its height, the GAR included more than 400,000 individuals. But of course, as the years after Appomattox lengthened into decades, the veterans became older and fewer. Recognizing that their days, and hence those of their organization, were numbered, members of the GAR founded a new organization that became the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. Before the last member of the GAR died, that older organization proclaimed the younger organization to be their successor and charged them to carry on the GAR traditions. Thus, the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War eventually became the legal heirs to the GAR and were so chartered by Act of Congress. The local units of the Sons of Union Veterans are called camps. The General William Haynes Lytle Camp, headquartered in Cincinnati, represents the southwestern portion of Ohio, and General Lytle called Cincinnati his home. I have the distinct honor to have been elected commander of Lytle Camp, which is why other than more eminent people stand before you today. Lytle Camp, along with others scattered about the state, comprise the Department of Ohio. Jonathan Davis, the current commander of the Department of Ohio, is here. We have three past department commanders, James Houston, and I was overjoyed to discover yesterday that we have Eric Peterson, past department commander of the Department of Georgia and South Carolina, and Charles Engel, the past department commander of the Department of Tennessee. Also present are members of the Sister Anthony O'Connell Auxiliary, this young lady. They are a local chapter of the Auxiliary to Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. The national organization is an outgrowth of the Ladies' Aid Society founded in 1883 to aid and support the Philadelphia unit of the Sons. As their president, Wanda Langdon, has written, Sister Anthony O'Connell's auxiliary is proud to assist the William H. Lytle Camp, Sons of Union Veterans, in their activities and endeavors. Joining us directly will be members of the 6th Ohio Volunteer Infantry. They comprise the Guard of Honor today. The 6th OVI is a reenactment and living history group with members in Cincinnati, Dayton, Springfield, and Columbus, Ohio, as well as northern Kentucky. Their mission is to recreate as accurately as possible a Western Theater Federal Infantry Company of the American Civil War. Today, the 6th Ohio Volunteer Infantry will be proudly marching under the flag of the 10th Ohio Regiment, General Lytle's unit. This flag has been made available to us by the Cincinnati Museum Center through the courtesy of Jason French. With that preface, let us begin the actual dedication. This memorial assures us that General Lytle and our other dead are held in remembrance. Those dead who gave their lives for the security of the citizens and the Union of the States. It is significant of brave and loyal obedience to the command of the nation always and everywhere, since the obligations of citizenship are not restricted to time or place or to the conflict of arms. It gives encouragement for the future, since the recognition and approval it gives of patriotic fidelity and heroism will be an incentive for public display of valor and virtue in all coming time. There can be no doubt that the honor that you all pay to the patriotic dead and to their memorable deeds will serve not only to make American citizenship in these days more reputable, but also to maintain and perpetuate through all future generations the union and authority of the United States of America. Officer of the Guard, will you please station the rifle detail near the memorial?
Yes, sir. Shoulder. Arm. In one rank. Right. Face. Forward guide left. Mark. Support. Arms.
Officer of the Guard, please order the Guard of Honor to post their colors. All rise. Brothers, uncover. High School's band will now play the Star Spangled Banner. Vice Commander Collins, will you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Junior Vice Commander Terry Langdon, do you have records of the service and the cause of our country of Brigadier General William Haynes Lytle, before whose monument we are assembled? Would you please state them? You may be seated.
Tell you, this front row of all my leaders in my organization has been rather stern with me not to get as carried away as I have to do when I talk about the veterans. So I'm limited to 5 minutes, and we'll make the most of it. I will say that I've been coming here since I was 5 years old. It's been a while. This was a great way to get down to Florida, to Cincinnati, and I literally walked this battlefield when I was 10 years old. So I took that opportunity to list 31 generals. And they were all from the Confederate side. Just thought I'd pass that on. Since then I've found a few relatives and ancestors in the Union side. Okay, I want to thank Regional Director Wissinger for covering a lot of the introductory material for General Lytle. I'll try not to be too overlapped. This is an unusual American paper. So it's worth spending a little time. General Lytle's first service was in the war in Mexico as the captain of the 2nd Ohio Infantry. The day after the firing on Fort Sumter in April of 1861, Lytle was among the first offering his services. He organized Camp Harrison on the west side of Cincinnati and accepted the rank of colonel in the 10th Ohio Infantry, later renamed the Bloody Tenth. On June 24th, 1861, he was assigned to General Rosecrans in West Virginia. Lytle served in 3 major campaigns. He was not an officer who led from behind the lines. He was in the forefront of every action, and as a result, he was beloved by his men. And, as you might expect, he was in a position to suffer wounds in every action he fought in. The first campaign was at Carnifax Ferry with his company, the 10th Ohio Infantry. September 10, 1861, they surprised the rebel advance, drove them from their position, and then suddenly came upon a well-entrenched and much larger force than his own, but he still made a fierce charge. The gallant colonel was mounted on his black charger, and when hit by a musket ball in the leg, which also killed his steed, they both went to the ground. Snatching a musket, the colonel began firing at the foe from the ground until his injury drove him from the field. As soon as he healed from the wounds, the colonel eagerly returned to command. His next major initiative was at the Battle of Perryville, Kentucky, October 8, 1862. Colonel Lytle once again found his unit attacked by overwhelming numbers. He begged for reinforcements but was ordered to hold his ground. So Colonel Lytle dismounted and led in person a bayonet charge by the flank. A fragment of a shell struck him on the left side of his head. One of his men lifted him up in his arms, only to be told by Lytle, "Leave me, I'm done for. Stand by your colors." He was left upon the field and was taken prisoner, but soon released on parole and sent home. On November 29, 1862, Colonel Lytle was promoted to brigadier general, and early February he was assigned the command of the 1st Brigade, the 3rd Division, 20th Army Corps of the Army of the Cumberland. The Corps was commanded by Rosecrans, the division by Sheridan. 7 weeks before Lytle left for Chickamauga, his former regiment, the Bloody 10th, presented their beloved leader with a beautiful Maltese cross, as Mr. Senior talked about, studded with diamonds and emeralds to honor his valor and bravery. In his parting remark to his group, Lytle said, "There is not a man in these ranks who will not shed his life's blood like water beneath these colors, the flag." And I want to say a special thanks to the 6th OBI for bringing the flag of the 10th Infantry to this ceremony. Lytle went on to say, "It may not be for all of us here today to listen to the chants that greet the victor. Those who do survive can tell, at least to the people, how their old comrades, whether in the skirmish or the charge, died with their harness on in the great war for Union and liberty." Lytle's final and bravest battle came right here at the terrific Battle of Chickamauga. September 20th, the second day of the battle, 150 years ago today, just about this time actually, Lytle found his brigade almost completely surrounded by the rebels. With the prospect of a successful withdrawal slim, Longstreet's Confederates surged toward the front and both flanks. Lytle prepared for the worst and decided on a desperate stratagem. Spurring his horse to the front of the Federal line, he shouted to his outnumbered command, "All right, men, we can die but once. This is the time and place. Let us charge." The hopeless attack was shattered almost immediately. Lytle was shot in the spine, but continued to ride among his men, rallying them into action until 3 more bullets knocked him to the ground. With their commander dying, the survivors joined the stampede to the rear. As the general fell, one of his aides caught him in his arms, and 2 orderlies were killed. Another officer was wounded while trying to remove the dying general. Mutely appealing to those about him to fall back and save themselves, he placed his sword in the hands of an orderly and waved him to the rear, thus expressing a last wish that he should not be captured by the foe. Lying on a little knoll at the foot of a tree, in the midst of carnage, death came to one of the bravest and most daring generals of the Civil War. Though his body fell into the hands of the enemy, it was treated with respect due to rank and heroism. As Mr. Wissinger and Patrice has already mentioned, the Confederate guard was placed around his body. "Who have you there?" the guard replied. "General Lytle of Cincinnati." "Ah," said General Preston, "General Lytle, the son of my old friend, Bob Lytle. I'm very sorry indeed it is so." Lytle was well known as a poet. It was called the Poet Warrior. The soldiers found some of his latest verses on his person on that night, and sitting around the campfire, they read some of his poetry, including these lines written for his sisters. "In vain for me the applause of men, the laurel won by sword or pen, but for the hope so dear and sweet to lay my trophies at your feet. Today we stand here together, side by side, to honor General Lytle and all those who fought and died on these hallowed grounds. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
Officers of the Guard, let the honor guard set up the symbol for the soldier, and let a soldier be detailed to guard them. Attention, shoulder, arm. Lieutenant Cornet, place the symbol of the soldier. Attention. In the name of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War and its auxiliary, I now rededicate this memorial. I dedicate it to the memory of Brigadier General William Haynes Lytle, and by extension to the 4,000 other men who died in these very fields exactly 150 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, salute the flag. Shoulder, arm. Present, arm. Shoulder, arm. Order, arm. Parade, rest. Our service of rededication is ended. In the name of the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, and in the name of its auxiliary, I thank you and those you represent for your courtesy in permitting us, who are bound by special ties to them, to honor General Lytle and by extension the others of our dead. Brothers and sisters, other ladies and gentlemen, when we close today's program, the card of honor will be withdrawn. The symbols will be removed. The flags will be retired. But the memorial we have dedicated will remain. So long as it shall endure, it shall speak to us and to all of the loyalty and heroism in the Army and the Navy, and of the significant national authority of which our flag is the symbol to every true American heart. Officer of the Guard, remove the symbols. conclusion, Mr. Wissinger would be assigned back to the National Park Service, who act on behalf of the citizens of the United States who own this memorial, and I thank you for permitting us this opportunity. I would now like to introduce Sister Wanda Langdon of the Auxiliary, who will lay a wreath.
Well, we've heard today about a man who was able to be respected and honored by both Confederate and Union. We've heard about a monument that also brought us together in 2013 in order to take care of the stewardship of this park. In fact, when this park was dedicated in 1895, there was a promise that was made by the citizens of Chattanooga and all of those who attended. And that promise was that they would take care of the story, that they would take care of the landscape, and that they would take care of the monument itself that had been erected. And so all these years later, we're still able to do this. We're able to have a monument fully restored. But I want you to be thinking about 150 years from now. What will be the legacy? How will the landscape look? How will our monuments look? What are we going to be passing on to those future generations? And so as we close today, I also want to invite you to participate in some of the other special events that have been held and planned for this week. Our culminating event is tomorrow night at the foot of the Wilder Tower Wilder Bay Monument, that iconic symbol here on the Battle Stage. And that's the Chattanooga Symphony playing at 7 p.m. So please join us for that event. And again, think about the legacies that we'll be leaving to future generations.
Officers of the Guard, please retire the colors. Color hook. Officer of the Guard, dismiss the guard.
Attention color guard. In one rank, left, face. Support. Arm. Forward, right. Mark.
You may proceed.
Present. One.
Parade dismissed.